Now to an update on a story I know a lot of you have been asking us about. It's about this little girl and about the life-threatening deadline hanging over her head here. She is Sarah Murnaghan. She is in dire need of a pair of lungs, a lung transplant.
I'm not going for easy.
All right, guys.
I'm just going for possible.
Going for possible. Sarah's family is taking on what seems like an impossible quest to get her a transplant with adult lungs. You see, lungs from a child are not available right now, but adult lungs are. However, because Sarah is only 10 and not the minimum age to be considered an adult at the age of 12 to receive adult lungs, she can't get the adult lungs. She's basically at the end of the line. Adults come first and then her, even though some of those adults aren't quite as sick as she is. On Wednesday, I talked to her father, and he explained to me the process and just really how dire this family situation is.
How the system works is, if there is an available set of lungs from an adult, they go through the entire adult list, no matter what severity the various adults are at. And then once everyone on the adult list has passed them up, then they're offered to the children. Her lungs have deteriorated significantly, and we're saying a few weeks. So if we don't receive a pair of lungs in the next few weeks, then she will die.
The group that oversees lung transplant says it won't change the rules for Sarah, explaining in a statement that it, quote, let me read this for you exactly, cannot create a policy exemption on behalf of an individual patient, since giving an advantage to one patient may unduly disadvantage others. That's a quote from them. But now, 2 senators and a congressman representing Pennsylvania, where Sarah is from, are stepping in to try to help. Senators Pat Toomey and Bob Casey and Congressman Patrick Meehan have all reached out to Kathleen Sebelius, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, to try to get her to change the rules. It's her department that oversees the Organ Procurement and Transplantation Network. And so now Congressman Meehan joins me live from Philadelphia. Congressman, welcome. Like I told the dad earlier this week, I hate the circumstances under which I'm speaking to you. This is a tough one. I know that you have reached out to President Obama's inner circle, Secretary Sebelius writing a letter. Where do things stand right now?
Well, I'm not a congressman in a deal like this. I'm a father, and I think about what this family is going through. So we are appealing to the secretary. We have been able to get to her attention the issue. She has asked for an opinion to be given to her by the head of the transplant organization with regards to what policies have been in the past and whether there's a basis for exception. But I believe there is, because frankly, you identified the fact that she's sicker than most on the list who would qualify but for age. But it doesn't seem to me that there's a reasonable basis for why that is stopped at 12. The other criteria is effectively a likelihood of some success, and the CHOP doctors think there's a likelihood of success.
So, Congressman, is it an exception that you and so many others, including the parents here, are asking for, or is it a rule change?
Well, there's not going to be time for a rule change, and certainly in Congress we'll be able to ask for an evaluation of the whole process. But with respect to Sarah, there would have to be some kind of a recognition. I wouldn't even call it an exception. I think it would be a recognition that the second criteria is, you know, effectively the viability. How likely is she to prosper with that new lung? And that isn't tied. That's an arbitrary thing. You could see if she was 6 years old, you would say, no way. But she's 11, effectively, and the doctors believe that she could be successful.
Here's my one question that I just have to ask, and then I told this dad I want this whole story to have a happy ending. I want her to get this pair of lungs. But when you think of the other adults who are, some of whom are not as sick, would this then be asking for an unrealistic precedent to be set here in cases like this?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that may be the case, but the precedents change because the policy isn't, doesn't make sense in its application. I shouldn't say it doesn't make sense, but you see the injustice of this policy. There's two criteria. She's on the top of the line on one, and on the other, the only way it seems arbitrary. If in fact you're talking about, the likelihood of success. That isn't because she's 12, it's because she can take that adult lung. It can be done at a tremendous hospital like CHOP, and she has a high likelihood of success if she gets it.
Congressman Patrick Meehan, we wish you the best, and hopefully that some solution can come as expediently as possible, and we can all talk about this new set of lungs in a very healthy 10 going on 11-year-old girl. Congressman, thank you.
Thank you, Brooke.